Well, something definitely a little different today, and not really in a good way either. Sorry if it's a bit windy. I didn't bring my media mic. I didn't think it was going to be as bad. And then we got over here, the wind is pretty strong. The weather is just really bad at the minute. We're going through a real rough time, and we're hoping soon that some sort of spring will soon start to show its face, because we really need some sort of an improvement at this stage. Yesterday we got the worst rain that I've seen in about 10 years. It had been raining for about 17 hours straight, non-stop, and then about 11 o'clock yesterday it just upped its pace and it just lashed, and it didn't quit for about 3-4 hours. And this is the result. You can see this is my laneway going up to the other shed. This used to be a lovely, nice, flat, clean laneway. Now it's just rubble. It's actually really bad. There's about a foot and a half of gravel here, all built up. The pipes, it runs in here into where there used to be a pipe. It's still running, but I'm going to dig that out now and hopefully be able to reach down my hand, hopefully take some of that stuff away from the end of it. But as you walk on further up here, you can see this is about a foot lower now. The camera mightn't pick it up, but it is about a foot lower. That's where the water went. Now some people might say, have you no shuck here? Well, you see, there never would be normally any water here, because there is a shuck that stops on the field side just up above this wire, and it normally takes all the water away. So all the lane really has to catch it from here down to there, and there's never really any water ever comes out of that hedge. So, but yesterday this whole laneway was under about 3 inches of fast flowing water, and it was literally hateful to watch, because I was getting messages from friends of mine and seeing things on Snapchat and on Facebook of businesses that were being destroyed. You can see here the drains and things are all, well, it cleaned the drain, but it cleaned it all down into the pipes that's supposed to take it down across the field and down into the lower bog. So I'm going to have to get in with the shovel. I'm going to clean that all up. This part of the lane isn't too bad. What it's done is lifted up all the big stones, and when you lift up all the big stones and you're pulling up here with slurry tankers and things like that, that's going to rip the tyres on the tractors, it's going to rip the tyres on the tank. But there's nothing really I can do. The weather's just still too bad at the minute to really fix anything, so I'm going to lift all the gravel down below and I'm going to throw it all back on this trench for starters, and that's all I'm going to touch at the minute. And I'm going to wait then and see what the weather does, and as soon as I see that the weather might be starting to slowly change, I'll get a few load of 804 or something like that and gravel this whole laneway again, because this is a mess. It's never happened before like this. It's never been as bad as this. But yeah, it just goes to show the power of nature and the power of actual water, what water can do. So yeah, the tractor over me, some of you might say, why didn't you bring the case over with the front loader? I didn't, because you know what the clutch is like on the case. It's not in great shape, and a job like this could actually finish it, so I don't want to bring the case over. I don't want to put it under any stress. It's put in silage and it's managing the best at what it's doing, and I don't want to have a tractor sitting in the yard broken down when the silage to be fed. But I just used the box this time. You can see we have bits of landslides here as well, where this whole bankment is starting to slide out onto the road. That's something we're going to have to address with a hay mac later on. Again, it's even bad on the far side of the tractor. If you go around here, you'll see it's coming away here. The whole roots and all is giving way, so that whole bank is going to eventually all come down onto the road. Oh, the joys of weather. Anyway, there's the wind again. Just get to it and get it fixed. There's no point in whinging about it. just by raking it and raking it and raking it, we managed to lift up some of the gravel. Even the old clay and things that builds up in the middle is always good, because it'll help pack in them stones again, and a lot of loose gravel then on top of it, and the whole thing will be firm again. Hopefully we will not be getting that rain again. So I'm going to go down here now before I continue on up there, and I'm going to red this gully and let this water away completely. I brought my, they call it the bee shovel. It's got a ferocious bad handle on it. Like a lot of the things that I have, handles just aren't worth a damn on, and that's why I have to put a pair of gloves in me, because it literally is like a cheese grater and it will grate the hands of you. Now you can see we're much better. This whole area here is cleared, so that any water comes down here now is going to get caught by that cement that's there, and it's going to go the whole way across. And the gully now is opened as well. It's running smoothly. There was a big bush across the front of it which caught any gravel from coming down. I have a grate at home. I'm going to put that into that this evening, and that way when there comes any big gushes like that, there's always come debris and stuff with it, and that'll block the entrance and stop any stones from getting down into it. It's not a big journey anyway, because the amount of water that flushes down will probably wash the stones out of it. That was part of a load of concrete that was left over at the shed above, and this was a perfect spot to put it, because I was able to build a shelf across here now to catch any water coming down the lane, stop it from going out onto the road, and it worked wonders. It was a great job. So that's it, nice and clear. I'm going to throw this here now on this track, going up along here, and try to fill that up now as best I can. Here's the next place. This is all backed up here. It's still getting away. This is not going to be as easy to shovel out, because I'm not just too sure where the pipe is. I think it's somewhere in around there. So we're going to have to shovel into this here now and get that all red out. Right, better. She's running again. There's a big 9-inch pipe in there, but it's surrounded by shorn stones to kind of filter the water that's running into it, so nothing heavy can get down into the pipe, and that's working now a dream. There's the exit of it there, and there's a nice flow of water going in there now and into the pipe like it should be. There was a nice build up of stuff. It was mostly all that stuff was from hedge cutting probably, and it all just got washed down. There was no harm actually for it all to get washed down. The gully's nice and clean now, and it's only a matter of throwing it out. Harder stuff to shovel. You'd really probably want a grape or a fork or whatever you guys call it. We're not going to get into that. Sprung, yes, I think that's most of them all covered, but we nearly wanted one of those today. It would have lifted the stuff out much better. But anyway, it's done now. It's another little job fixed. A few more jobs to do on the lane up to my house as well that got blocked. But it's the first time I actually had the box on in a long time. Ever since that loader was put on, the box has been sitting dormant all the time. It's just sitting, very sorry for itself, over in the corner, and that's the first time I'd say I've had it on. I don't know, probably in about 2-3 months. Yeah, that's how good the loader is. Right folks, we're here now with Alan from Auto Sparky. You see there, Auto Sparky in Virginia, in County Cavan. Alan supplied us with our lights for our case down below. You would have seen on other videos, and I was really impressed with them, so we have them back to work on our tanker. So I went for 2 work lights. I let Alan go to town on these and pick one that he thought would be best suiting our needs. Now I'd be down in the yard and I'd be working late at night in a tight yard, and I've often backed into things, and it happened only there recently. You remember on the last 1600 where I took this clean out of it, just purely didn't see where I was going. So Alan, what work lights have you set us up with? Yeah, well, you wanted plenty of lights, so we went for these 45 watt work lights. You can see they're 3600 lumens, so they are a very bright light. Yeah.
one each side. I went with the option of running a wire from the back all the way to the front and straight into your tractor. It's mounted on a 3-pin plug. Every tractor has a 3-pin plug. That's why you do it that way, because if you change your tractor or someone else is using your tank, or you borrow a tractor or whatever, you'll have the 3-pin plug in it. You can plug it into any tractor. So these reversing lights or back lights will work on any tractor on the 3-pin plug.
And by the way, before anybody asks, we are keeping our distance, we're wearing our masks, so we're abiding by all the rules. Nobody wants to catch that out of virus. As I always say, stay as safe as you possibly can. Now, Alan's going to talk about a marker light that we actually picked for the front. We're not putting any at the back, because we have enough lights, I think, at the back now at this stage.
Definitely have enough.
So we're going to do it a blind half the country. So we're talking about putting a little marker light that you see on the newer Abbey tanks.
So we're just going to put a white marker here, just to, you know, mark how wide you are on the road for oncoming traffic. LED Global, again, we have a wide range of marker lights on the website, but this one is a really neat, tough little light. Takes a lot of abuse. Mark that.
Flush there. Yeah. That was Alan himself, you were seeing there, who was doing a bit of wiring at the back of the tank. I didn't film much of it because of COVID and things. I just wanted to give him his space to work. Said, when you're gone, I'll explain everything to the viewers of what you actually did, because he was busy. He came to me at about lunchtime and he left me at about 10:30 that night, and he worked non-stop at getting this done for us. So cracking lad, a real drive in him, which I love to see. His attention to detail is very good, and his knowledge of what he does is very good. For starters, the LED bar is something a lot of people has been messaging me about. I mean, a lot of people. This LED bar was the first of his kind that he got made. A friend of his actually fabricated it for him, and he then added the LEDs on it. Now, this bar itself was actually designed for a 2,500 gallon Abbey. So he said, there's a chance this is not going to fit. It's just one that's sitting beside us. It was already made. You're welcome to try it if you want. If it doesn't fit, then we'll make one purposely for your tank. So we fitted the bar on first, and it sat way up in the air. Because the barrel of the 2,500 is obviously bigger, so that left it that the mounts were in a different place. The bar was sitting quite high up in the air, up about 2-3 inches, and it didn't look great. Alan says, we're not going to put that one on. This is just a new thing we've started doing. I'll go off and I'll get the right one made. I'll be back to you in a few days and I'll put the right one on. Me said no. I see a quick fix to that. So what I done was, as you see, these bars are made to bolt straight on to your pipe carrying brackets. That's the way they are, so you'll never have to do any drilling, welding or nothing on any of these tanks. Just bolt straight on in a matter of minutes. That is the beauty of them. No one wants to really drill or weld onto a new tank or even a second-hand tank, because you're damaging the paint. You don't want to do that. So I made a little bit of an extension bracket here, just a piece of steel, very easy to make, just for my own. You'll not have to do this if you order one of these, because it'll be made to suit your tank. There's the 2 holes, original holes for the pipe carrying bracket. And now I was fit to move this down onto a bottom hole, slide it down further. So I dropped it down that much, which brought the bar down, which sits absolutely perfectly. It's not touching the tank, but it's just gliding above it, which looks incredibly well. I have to say, it looks so neat. The same on this side, on the very same thing. I have to still put my carrier bracket back on here. I didn't get time to actually fit it onto place, but it's sitting up in the shed, and that'll be back on it now in a day or so. Nicole's with me here now, and she's going to get up on the starter in a few minutes, and she's going to demonstrate what the lights do. But I'm just going to go over it really quick now and show you what actually was added on the tank first before we display what we have. So these 2 work lights on both sides are exactly the same. They're a 45 watt from LED Global. You had loads and loads of different work lights, from small to square to rectangular, whatever you want, he has. There's an incredible light of these. I do reverse into this yard at night, and I do a lot of slurrying at night, and it's hard to beat having a good light. Obviously you'd never have these on the road. You should never have them on the road, and you wouldn't have them on the field either. It's just purely when you're working in the yard at night time, it makes the job a lot safer. So here on the bar itself, we have 5 red LED lights. They're nice snug fits, and they're incredibly bright. On the bottom we fitted, again from LED Global, we fitted these strobe lights, amber strobes. So some of you would have seen it on our Instagram post the other night, but none of you probably realised is that there's actually a switch we had fitted on the bottom of this bar, which turns these off and on. So Obviously on the road, you wouldn't really need always to have these on. So you have the option to turn them off. It's just if you were filling a tank or piping or something, you had to pull up on the side of the road, you can just jump out, flip the switch, and there you have your strobes flashing just for safety. They're there. So they're a great option to have if you need them. So another thing Alan added to the side of the tank was these little marker lights. You'd probably see something similar on the newer Abbey tanks. These are nice flush lights, again from LED Global. They're very, very bright. See them as clear as day. There's 3 little spot LEDs in there. If you can see that in the dark, they go in there nicely, and he just drilled through here and he puts his little brackets in. The wires themselves are really well done. He has everything covered and braided and running underneath. It's just extremely tidy work. Me and him would probably get on very, very well, because I would be kind of fussy when it come to wiring especially. These little sticky guys here are another cool little thing you can stick onto the side of your tank just to carry the wire down. I just like that. That just really pleases me to see that. So we're going to show you these lights on. Nicole's going to turn the lights on there now. So there you have your red LED lights. I'm so happy with the way that looks. I think anybody would. Nice, it's tidy, it's not plastery looking, it's just suits the tanker, really, really does suit the tanker. Now we go and turn on our strobes. Here, there we go. So that's your 2 strobes running on both sides. Now you don't have to have that on your bar. You can pick whatever colour lights or whatever way you want your lights configured. This is just the way I went with mine, and I think it looks really, really great. I could not fault that one bit. It's everybody's personal opinion when it comes to lights, but to me, I like that. That looks really well. And that option of being able to just flick that off, so when you're on the road, you're not blinding anybody, you're not causing any problems, is a good thing to have. It's there, and if you ever need it, it's there to have. Now here's these marker lights. So you can see, very, very strong. If the mudguards were painted, it'd probably look better. But again, the rusty mudguard, we'll say, looks really well. And it's so neat. As I say, the wire and everything's so neat. You couldn't go wrong with that. So Nicole's just have to turn on the work lights to give you an idea, and I can tell you now, camera's different. I know it is daylight as well. It's a bit overcast today, but them lights have a serious power to them. You would definitely not want any more. If anything, it's overkill. But you know something, when you're working at night in a yard and it's dark, you can't beat having a good light. I was using them here one other night just to demo out to see what they were like, and I could see as much behind the tanker as I could see in front of the tractor. So that's what you want. It's safe. Even if anyone came into the yard, if my young kids are anything, they know not to come into the yard, but you just never know. If someone was behind you or something was parked that you had forgot about, you'll definitely see it. So some people ask, what way should you wire the work lights, for instance? Now, there is a couple of options you can do. Be the fog light that goes into your 7-pin plug. You have to power that blue wire somewhere inside the tractor, because most tractors won't have a fog light. So you'll have to get power to that and then put a switch somewhere inside just to power that on and off. I didn't go for that, because if you put this tank on a different tractor, then you have to do the same with it. But every tractor, most tractors have a 3-pin plug inside in the cab somewhere. So I set this one up that it wires directly into the 3-pin plug. And then Alan wanted to put an inline on the wire switch on and off just to control it inside the cab. I didn't really want to do that. My intentions was to put a switch actually on the 3-pin plug that you can turn the power source to it on and off. And I think it would be neater. You have nothing on the wire itself that can get wet when you take it out and leave it sitting outside on the tanker when it's not being used. I think that's the route I'll go down. I'll put a little bit of a switch on the dash that will control the power that goes to that 3-point socket, and that way I'll just be able to flick the switch on and off and turn the lights on and off, and I think that's the way I'm going to do it. These are LED beacons. Again, they're from LED Global. Nicole will turn them on. The middle button, Nicole, up on the top. Now these beacons are different than probably a lot of beacons you will find, because on them you can have 4 different functions. There's 4 different function settings on these. All you have to do is screw off the amber glass on the top, and then just push the button that's on the beacon and it will change to a different setting. So that's the one I have it set on there at the moment, is probably my favourite. Now I will tell you one thing, the camera is very dark outside here at the moment. The GoPro's not great in low light because it is raining quite heavy now and it's all overcast, but them lights are seriously bright. Very, very bright. Way brighter than the ones that would have come standard on this tractor. So that's it. If you need any LEDs for your tankers, jeeps, trailers, lorries, cars, whatever it is, make sure you contact Auto Sparky. Got a great website. Give them a bit of support, because LED Global is super, super lights. We've had loads of LEDs before, and if you watch our channel, you'll know about the complaints I had about them. This stuff is incredibly good quality. What I'm going to be doing now, after I turn this camera off today, I'm going to be taking the hydraulic pipe that's for the brakes of this tanker off, all because this little pipe just about here has started to leak, and leak really badly when you put your foot on the brake, and that's even very, very dangerous when using this tanker. So that has to come off today. I'm going to go over to Laneways in Lakeland and get a new, probably have to get a new pipe put on because I can't really make it any shorter. That wasn't like that when I got the tank. It just started to leak yesterday evening. My father actually spotted it when he was standing outside the tank, and it was just spraying straight out. It has to be fixed. Another thing we're going to be covering, I want to get your opinion on. We are going to be looking at a wide angle shaft for this tanker, probably today when I go over to Lakeland. This tanker will be doing a lot of work in small paddocks, small fields and small paddocks. It does cover an awful lot more ground, and you just don't want to be turn it off and turn it on and turn it off, having every time you have to turn, because that's quite a lot. So a wide angle shaft, I think, is a kind of a must. Again, in this yard, you have a bit of space, but with a bigger tanker, just that space is getting a bit more limited, and it would be nice to be able to verse over to some of the tanks and not have to sit perfectly straight to fill a tank. So we will be doing something with the wide angle shaft. We were talking to a company, Safe Shafts Ireland, about a hydraulic conversion on this pump, and I do suggest you go over there and check them out. They've won a lot of awards for the product that they have developed, and it's just taken off. It runs on, I think, 40 litres a minute, all it takes to run the actual tanker. So there's a lot of people in the past would have thought, we'll stay away from them hydraulic driven conversions because they tend to be expensive. Well, now Safe Shafts is qualified for Thames 2 approval, and people are getting them now through that. It'll only cost you the price of a good wide angle shaft, so it's definitely now an option. We just have to weigh up which one we're going to go with, but we'll make that decision later on. That's for another video. I just want to say, before I get out of this rain and dry my clothes, is that our merch store is opened this Friday at 11 AM. Now, loads of people are messaging me, how can we get it before that? You can't. We'll be going back through our videos now tonight, and we'll be adding a new merch link to all the descriptions and all the videos, including this one. All you have to do is wait till about 11 o'clock on Friday, click on it, you'll get into the shop. It will be very, very straightforward, and track delivery with DPD to your door, so I hope everybody's happy with what's on there. We'll have loads and loads more stuff added to the shop as time goes on. And if there's something that's not on the shop that you'd love to see, just send me a message, because I would like to get your feedback. And if we do get enough of messages on different items that people would like to see, well, then we'll add them to it in the future. Thanks very much for watching. As always, if you haven't subbed, now's the time to do it. You hit that sub button, give us a like, put a comment down below. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. And until the next one, we'll talk to you again. I like your style, Hudson. I like your style.